So we are going to move on to the next session now, and I'm going to find my notes. Where are we? So we're very lucky to actually have Dave Pepper, who is one of the senior marketing managers for Twitter Business, who's going to be talking about 7 strategies that brands can use in the coming months for their campaigns. So I'm going to leave it now over to Dave. Welcome, Dave.
Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, who knows right now. Thank you for still being here at 5 o'clock. It's been a long day. I logged on myself first thing this morning, and I've had most of the sessions have been on one of the screens. And I'm aware that myself and the next speaker are standing between you and cocktail making. So hopefully the next half hour is enjoyable and worthwhile, and you find it somewhat useful. My name is Dave Pepper. As Stuart said, I'm responsible for marketing in EMEA for the Twitter Business team. And that little bit of intro feels I've always had a want or urge to do a kind of darts walk on, and maybe that's about as close as I'm going to get. So thank you for that, guys. I appreciate that. So at Twitter Business, quick intro, we help businesses, brands, and organizations of all shapes and sizes connect with their audience and achieve their goals and objectives on Twitter. The group of unruly looking folks that you see before you is the Twitter Business team. They are a great bunch of people to work with right across the globe: San Francisco, Dublin, London, Singapore and Tokyo. But unfortunately, as I'm sure you've experienced yourselves over the last 6 months, this has been pretty much the view that we've all had. Some answers to questions that you may have. I don't know what the view is behind me, but the medals, no, are not mine. And no, I do not support Liverpool. This is the consequence of having to work in my son's bedroom, and he is an avid Liverpool supporter and football player. Yes, I'm sure I'm probably the 10th or 12th or 15th person to tell you that this is being recorded. So yes, take notes and snapshots, but don't take too many. Yes, you can get a copy of the deck. Well, we'll be sending a link out to a fantastic blog that's been written that summarizes the content that I'll be walking through over the next little while. Keep an eye out on the Twitter Business handle for that. And I suppose the big question is there Twitter swag? Of course there is. We will have a little competition at the end of the session for you to be in a chance to win some Twitter socks and other stuff. So let's get started. While we may no longer be fully in lockdown, we're certainly not out of the woods, and things around us are all a little bit different. And I suppose at Twitter, we've been humbled and inspired by brands who have stepped up over the last few months to lead the way for others. And over the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to take a look at some of these brands and some great examples of them leading the way. And hopefully what we want is to give you all some thought starters to see how you can take this forward into your own comms and marketing strategy. Let's not kid ourselves. 2020 has been a challenging year for the world, and it's also been a challenging year for businesses, small and large, and brands right across the globe. And I think if you saw this tweet in, I think it was March, we'd all be raising our hands right now. This has been a challenging time for marketeers. I I think our team, we're on possibly version 3 or 4 of our marketing plan, and it's just been one of those that's just evolved. And many brands are unsure of how to stay. So I've been looking to peers and partners for some insight to questions, and some of these may ring true to your ears. How can we plan things when things are changing so quickly? And while we may be out of the pandemic, things are still slightly weird, right? And I think the word change is a key one there, is changes. And again, hopefully what we're going to go through in the next little while will help us all with that. So we've seen that conversations can make a difference, and PG Tips, Tesco, Cadbury, and many others, we're going to shine a light on the practices of conversation leaders, those brands who inspire others by shifting marketing or launching something new when perhaps they thought that they couldn't, despite everything that's going on. So we've drawn on these best practices and learned from most effective activations on Twitter, and have curated 7 strategies that conversation leaders are using to push their brands forward. And we're going to walk through these. Lead by listening, lead with purpose, lead by example, lead with something new, lead with connecting, lead with agility, and lead with positivity. And really what we're hoping to do today, and with this narrative in general, is empower brands to find their voice and to use it with insights and inspiration that we ourselves have found very useful. So let's get started. Our first strategy is to lead by listening. Leading brands, we've seen, take time to understand their customers' mindset first before really jumping in to help. And now more than ever, people are telling brands what's important for them and how they want those based on that. People are telling brands that they don't want, with only 6% of the people that we spoke to on Twitter wanting to hear the usual tone of voice. Ultimately, they want credible and communicative. And this is definitely and still is not a time to stop talking. Communication is key, and providing information that your customers need is important. And be supportive. Acts of kindness not only do good for your community, but demonstrate a positive side to your brand. And be people-centric. No matter who your customers are, what industry you're in, bring those people who are perhaps more vulnerable, more impacted into focus. And by listening to them, you will help to better serve them. That's lead by listening. Next up, we have lead with purpose. And lead with purpose, really, more people are looking at and choosing brands based upon the positive impact that those brands have on society. So there's never been more of a critical time for brands to articulate their ideas, but more importantly, to act on them. And people are expecting brands to lead with purpose-driven campaigns, as you can see from the stat on the screen. So we have 3 Ps. It's a great way of identifying your brand's place and position in the world as it stands right now. Purpose, definitely think about what guides your brand, and back to people. How does your brand support those that are most relevant? And pledge. Think about how your company or brand or organization is giving back. And I think the key point here, though, is to make sure that this aligns to core products and services that your brand offers. A great example here of Heinz committing to support and provide, or to support children impacted in the UK by lockdown by providing 12 million breakfasts. So a great alignment there to obviously what Heinz is and stands for. And next up we have lead by example, and very much conversation leaders find ways to give more, even in the face of a challenging business environment. And while people understand the challenges that brands are facing, they still expect that their needs are met, and that the needs are met of others. So, while there is an appreciation about how things have changed and perhaps how the environment is different, there's still a level of expectation that customers have. So a couple of do's and a couple of don'ts around how your brand can lead by example. Do share great information and useful information, and definitely broadcast initiatives where you've launched. Sorry, I'm just going to pause here, folks, because I've lost my screen. So I don't know if the AB team are able to quickly come back in and just refresh the screen. Thank you, guys. It's going to happen somewhere, right? And I've been in plenty of real events where where you have technical problems. So thank you to the AB team, because this is a great setup. So let's get back on track. So the do's of how brands can lead by example: provide useful information to your customers, and of course broadcast any initiatives that you've launched that really address issues that customers have raised. And again, back to the first strategy around leading by listening, is that you will pick things up. Clearly, there's some don'ts. So these are definite no-nos. Don't make promises that you can't keep. Definitely don't view misfortune as a marketing opportunity. And especially don't shun interactions with frustrated customers. Okay, it's I suppose we all know that there are challenges around, and rather than knock someone back, engage with them, understand what challenges or frustrations that they may have, and then work with them to solve that. And back to the key point there around broadcasting initiatives. The customer will be happy, and you as a brand will be happy. The fourth strategy is around leading with something new, and I mentioned right at the start that brands have faced that question: should we launch? And very much, brands trying to launch something new face unique challenges. Lots of launch plans have either been brought forward, pushed back, cancelled even, or definitely paused. And it is, however, still possible to introduce new brands, messages, concepts, propositions, products successfully during a downturn. And as you can see from research, brands that have launched or relaunched in a downturn have experienced a 15 to 25% greater excess share of voice. So I definitely don't think that cancelling is the first option. And we've some key points on how brands have launched over the last few months. Very much key to listen and understand how customers' behaviours may have changed, and absolutely stay true to your voice. and find the right tone for the moment. And just back to understanding how customers' behavior may have changed. Great example on the right from Disney Plus. What an opportunity for them. But I think they did not only the launch right, but then after that, bringing forward the release of certain movies. I think Frozen 2 was a great example that they put out on the platform a lot sooner than they'd originally intended to, because they just totally understood that a lot of people around the world were in lockdown. Target and zoom in and focus on your audience, and very much find the audience that's going to care about what you're launching, and go big on reveal. Our research has shown that brands spending around about 40%, not just on launch day, but on the lead up to launch day, have more success. And then finally, and this is not just relevant for launch, but it is a big thing because anything could happen. We all know that things can change very quickly. So don't be surprised by this. If something happens unexpectedly, take a step back. And no knee-jerk reactions, and act accordingly to ensure that the launch still happens. The fifth strategy then is lead by connecting, and brands that have managed to remain relevant are using Twitter to connect to people through events, occasions, and trends. And some good examples here. So while we've been, we're still socially distancing in the real world, technology has obviously helped bring us together in a virtual one. And Twitter's been vital to this process, and we have seen in Q2, in Q1, and in Q2, the first half of the year, we have seen a considerable increase in the number of users that have joined Twitter, but not only have joined, are active on the platform. And there's three ways that brands can connect and sustain relevance. We're part of it. We're part of this right now. So if you had live events planned, and I'm sure at the start of the year, the Social Day team were looking forward to hosting a 3-day event with lots of people, and cocktail making would have been real, and we would have all been on a stage and able to talk to each other face to face. But obviously, turning live events into virtual ones is a great opportunity to keep your audience engaged. Just because it's virtual, they're not going away. But perhaps you have an opportunity to address an even larger audience just by the nature of hosting something virtual. Occasions and events are still obviously taking place. There are, big events have been cancelled, but in their place, there are those that continue. And on Twitter, we've seen, a huge increase in conversation around these things such as birthdays, religious occasions, virtual sports. Think of, the number of virtual tournaments and competitions and that came on board to plug that gap that we all have for watching sport. But they're all a great opportunity for your brand to tap into. And even James Bond got in on the act with Pierce Brosnan and Esquire UK doing a live GoldenEye watch along. And finally, lean into what people are, what they care about, and how that might have changed. There are new areas of interest, and I'm sure you all have one or two where you may not have been so interested in something earlier on in the year, but now you are. And here's some examples of some of the conversation trends that we saw grow in around March, April, May time. And obviously this shifts as time goes on, but I think a lot of people were making sourdough. A lot of people turned to yoga, and then there was a lot of people watching whatever game was being played at the time on channels platforms such as Twitch. And that will continue. So it's important that you tap into that and understand what your customers' interests are. Penultimate strategy is about leading with agility, and it's very easy to say, pivot. It's a bit of a buzzword. Although I heard on the radio at the weekend that pivot is such a It's such a March and April word. But we've seen that brands continue to produce quality content by finding creative solutions despite what's going on. And, 92% of companies have evolved or had to evolve their marketing creative in light of the pandemic, with creative shoots and events being cancelled or postponed. So a couple of ways for you to think about that if you haven't already. There's no shame in using existing assets, get a little bit retro, transform them, bring them back. And obviously think about user-generated content. And this is a great example that we saw from KFC, who all their restaurants were closed, but remained very active and engaging on Twitter. This was an example where they asked their customers to post images of homemade versions of family buckets and Zinger burger meals. As I mentioned, people are receptive to online events, and the Salesforce Leading Through Change live stream series that was hosted on Twitter was a great example of matching the content to what the audience is looking for, and this replaced some live events that Salesforce had planned. But of course, you can be spontaneous on Twitter, and there's a couple of things, both spontaneous and cost effective. Within 3 or 4 clicks, whether you use this directly, you use the Twitter camera in the Twitter app, or if on Periscope, you can be live straight away. So whether that you want to host a Q&A or a quick announcement, that's very possible to do very quickly. And finally, my favorite, which is lead with positivity. And, following people's passions is a surefire way to put a smile on people's faces. And I think we all agree that we've needed quite a lot of this over recent months. So while a lot of people turn to Twitter for updates and news, many more are seeking light-hearted content as a way to relax, stay connected, be entertained, or find inspiration. And we say continue to connect with these moments, right, as a brand, and celebrate them when appropriate. So, share fun stories, share positive content. We all know how it feels when you've finished your day in whatever room you're working in, wherever you are, and close the laptop and have a quick scroll through some social media and come across something that just makes you want to laugh out loud, and think we'll all agree that that's good for the endorphins, and it's good to put a smile on people's faces. Tap into their interest, and again, referencing back to how behaviors and interests may have changed, just remember this, but this will obviously allow you to engage with them in a fun way. So to recap, the 7 strategies that make up our leading the way narrative, and what we believe allow brands to become conversation leaders, to lead by listening, lead with purpose, lead by example, lead with something new, lead by connecting, lead with agility, and lead with positivity. And with that, we say to the brands leading the way, and I say to you, please just tweet on, because the conversations are important, and hopefully those 7 strategies are going to become something of interest and something that you guys can continue to use over the next few months. So if this has inspired you, found it interesting, and you'd like to learn a little bit more about Twitter Business, please do look us up. I've listed probably our top 3 places for you to go and find us. You can find us at business.twitter.com, which is a website full of resources, blogs, how-to guides, case studies, downloadable playbooks, that type of thing. So check it out. And please subscribe to our podcast, Character Counts, available on all mainstream and maybe not mainstream podcast providers. If you've done Netflix and fancy a change, then I definitely recommend Character Count. And of course, if you're not already, please do follow us on Twitter at Twitter Business. We're also on other social channels, and you can search Twitter Business to find us. Finally, just a quick shout for an upcoming webinar that we are going to be hosting towards the end of September. It's the fourth in our Brunch and Learn series of webinars, where we kind of walk through functional tips and tricks and how-tos on how to get the best out of Twitter, both organically and from a paid perspective. We have Q&As with customers. So do keep an eye out on the Twitter Business handle for news of that. And finally, if you would like help or support on anything related to Twitter ads, and whether that's creative best practice, targeting, campaign setup, optimization, please feel free to email our team of Twitter ads specialists. If you add Social Day 20 into the subject line over the next few days, I've asked the team to make sure that your query jumps to the top of the queue. So yeah, feel free to get in touch with the team. They are waiting for your queries. Of course, please do feel free to give me a DM in the Social Day app over the next couple of days. I'm going to be staying online and enjoying the rest of the speakers over the next couple of days. And of course, you can find me on Twitter at PepperDS. So please do feel free to connect, and I'd be only too delighted to have a chat. Okay, time for swag. And again, thanks to everyone if you're still here, brilliant. Only one more speaker to go, but I reckon that this might brighten up someday. So we have some fantastic Twitter Love Where You Work from Home swag packs. We've got water bottles. We have socks. It's all about the socks, and I saw that they seem to be doing quite well this morning. And we even have an exclusive Brunch and Learn mug to give in our packs. It's so exclusive that it doesn't exist yet. This is the design, and it's currently being manufactured and shipped to our warehouse. But they will be there before we get these packs out. So we've 20 to give away, and here's how you can do that. So be in with a chance, send a tweet telling us what your preferred or favorite leading strategy is. Please make sure to use the hashtag SocialDay20 and Twitter Business, because then I can find you. So simply a tweet with those two hashtags with your favorite leading strategy from the 7: lead by listening, lead with purpose, lead by example, lead with something new, lead by connecting, lead with agility, and lead with positivity. So good luck in that. We will make sure that we get those packs out to you over the next couple of weeks. And you never know, there might just be some more socks going around if we can find them. So before I leave you and hand you back to Stuart, so quick thank yous. Firstly, thanks to Sam and Lucy and the Social Day team for giving myself and Twitter the opportunity to speak to you. It's been a great event for day one, and I'm looking forward very much to days 2 and 3. Thanks to a couple of colleagues, Sammy and Gordon, who have worked tirelessly to put that narrative together. But finally, thanks to you for hanging in there at the end of day 1. And hopefully this has been an interest. And as I said, please do get in touch.
Thanks so much for that, Dave. That was a really insightful session.
You're welcome.
You've had so many really good comments on the app and of course on the platform itself. I'm sorry we haven't got time for questions because of the technical hiccup, which I thought you did really well recovering from. So thank you for your professionalism.
Not a problem. If the questions can come in through the app, I'm happy to address those. So if they can be redirected, or guys, if you want to just copy paste it through the app, or again, as I said, just get in touch on Twitter at PepeDS. I'll be very, very, very happy to walk through those over the next couple of days.
And if you come back to us next year and are able to take part in the live, I will personally promise we get your darts walk-on dream and make it happen. Because we love a good speaker video and walk onto the stage.
I just need to find the right shirt.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Dave. And everybody, if you can give a real big round of applause for Dave Pepper. Well done.
Thanks, guys.